All right. Shall we? I'll call the September 24th Finance and Personnel Committee of the RSW Regional Jail to order. And note that all three members of the committee are present. First order of business is adoption of the minutes from our last meeting, which was July 23rd, 2020. You all have had the packet now for several days. Are there any corrections or a motion to approve?
Unless somebody else has a correction to make, I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, superintendent's report.
Sure. Average daily population for August, we had Rappahannock with 15 at 5%, Shenandoah with 138 at 47.4%, and Warren County with 153 at 47.6%, bringing the total member jurisdiction ADP to 306. We had 36 contract beds for Page County and 66 for Culpeper, bringing the total facility ADP to 408. Just in reference for contract beds, to date we have 40 for Page and 68 for Culpeper, so the number has increased a little bit. HEM, we currently have 10 inmates assigned to home electronic monitoring. Vacancies, we have 42 officer vacancies. This does include the 12 positions held for vacancy savings. We have 5 officer candidates in background. It says none of them had been scheduled for interviews. When this was typed, we actually came up with 2 interviews this morning. One of them we're actually moving forward, one we're not. So applications are starting to pick up a little bit. I wouldn't say we're getting, a lot, but more than what we were getting over the last couple months. So hopefully that will continue. All of our medical positions, everything like that is filled now. So we haven't had that in a while either. So hopefully that trend will continue on the officer side. Recruitment and retention, 2 officers have resigned due to other employment opportunities. Those, I think I kind of mentioned at the last meeting, we're kind of fighting some contractual armed security positions for federal facilities in Winchester that are paying substantially more than what we pay. The benefits may not be there because it's contract, but what they're taking on their paycheck is about $25,000 more a year than what they are on a base salary for us. So we've lost probably 4 or 5 people to positions like that. So hopefully that'll slow down. Hopefully they've filled those positions and we're not going to have to compete with those.
A new experience?
It is actually.
New competition?
It is. We haven't had anybody leave. I think once the first officer left, word kind of spread, and hopefully that'll stop now. But we'll see. We have continued to post our jail officer positions on Indeed and our Facebook page, as well as 2 collegiate career boards, Career Coach and Handshake. We have gained some additional visibility on the collegiate career boards, and we'll continue to use them as these platforms to try to gain more people. Our new admin assistant, Jessica Pennifield, who's not here today, she's actually really taken the lead on trying to find other avenues to get our positions out there to help us recruit. She's done a fantastic job looking at different veterans boards and things like that, and she's really kind of taken the reins on that and leading the charge. So we're hoping we're going to see some fruits of her labor here shortly. MA programs and services, RSW workforce team, they're still out working daily. We've got some photos here of them working at the Front Royal Little League, maintaining the fields and things like that. Shenandoah County Government Center, Rappahannock County, cutting grass, weeding, all the things they normally do. So we're glad to continue those programs and those services for each one of the counties. iWeb Visit System. On July 13th, we launched our new inmate visitation system, iWeb Visit, which allows family and friends to visit with inmates remotely. To date, we've had 2,267 visits, with approximately 45 per day being the average. So it's been very successful, especially amidst COVID. We were going several months there with no visitation because all we were able to do was on site. So this system hasn't allowed the families to have that face-to-face contact with their family members. It's been really good, and hopefully it will just continue, the system will just get better as it evolves. But,
It'll be interesting to see what happens if and when we ever get back to normal.
Sure.
And how many people just opt to do this so they don't have to travel?
I mean, from what we gather from the company, they've done this at other facilities long before COVID, and they said really your on-site visits dropped to almost nothing because people just choose to do this because they don't have to wait, for a booth or things like that, and they can do it at their convenience of their schedule and things like that nature. So, which is good for us because it's less staff intensive for us to, manage it. But we'll see what happens. COVID-19 update, we have no active cases or symptomatic staff and haven't since June 15th. We did have a little scare about a week and a half ago. We had some other kind of virus going around, but we had some staff tested and it wasn't COVID. It was just some kind of seasonal flu or something, I'm not sure. But other than that, no inmates were affected and everything's been good on the COVID front. And that's all I have for my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Financial report, Stephanie?
$554,000 was received from the compensation board in August for the July 2020 salaries and benefits reimbursement, of which $381,000 was for vacancy savings for the 12 positions that were holding vacant for the entire fiscal year 21. Contract bed rental billing for August was just under $75,000 for Culpeper and just over $44,000 for Page. The total bed rental revenue year to date for FY21, including revenue from medical, housing, commissary, and telephone fees, is $243,000. Sorry. August marks just over 16% of the year. Expenditures are at 12.4% used. Revenue is at 18.49% realized. The FY20 audit with Robinson Farmer Cox is scheduled for September 28th and 29th, so Monday and Tuesday. Our accountants finished up their work this week and everything's looking good. The Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services announced in June an opportunity to apply for a grant, the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant, in which applicants were able to apply for no more than $50,000 to assist in a reimbursement for the prevention, preparing for, and responding to the coronavirus. We applied and were awarded $49,963 through this grant program. To date, we've expensed $88,567 on materials, supplies, and services directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic, so the funding from this grant significantly helps in the reimbursement of that. There is also opportunity to seek reimbursement of eligible funding through FEMA, which we plan to apply for as well. And that's all I have.
I would like to recognize Stephanie for taking charge of, making sure we got everything submitted for that grant appropriately and obtaining those funds for us. So.
It reminds me that Shenandoah did set aside some of its CARES Act for the RSW facility. It's not going to make up that delta between what you've spent and what you got through that grant, but it reminds me I need to get you guys that appropriation. Thank you. Any questions for Steph? Russ, with your vacancies, I think last time, and maybe it was reflected in the minutes, that you felt with the current bed rentals, and the numbers are very similar to where we were 2 months ago, or a month ago. When was the last time we met? 2 months ago. Time flies when you're having fun. You still feel that way at the 40 vacancy mark, that we're okay in terms of where you see the rental? Are we going to see more requests as things normalize?
Our two jurisdictions that we're renting bed space to, they absolutely have more inmates if we could take them. So if we can get our numbers in a better place, then yes, we could take a few more. We do have an academy class graduate here in a couple of weeks. So with that, and the next academy doesn't start until February, that may give us an opportunity to take a few more. I mean, not substantial numbers, but 5, 10, 8 more people, depending upon how the housing units are shaking out. But definitely, I think we're going to at least maintain where we're at and probably see an increase in our bed rental space between now and the end of the year, unless something unforeseen, another pandemic or, COVID rears its head again or something. But
your officers in the academy are also allowed to work, correct? So you're allowed to, no,
when they're at the academy, they have, and that's DCGS requirement, they have to be full-time academy students. So when they're gone, they're gone. So like now we're down 10 people.
Staff bonuses.
Kind of a segue into, with COVID and everything else that's been going on, our staff, has not had the ability to work from home and all these other things that a lot of people have had the opportunity to do with COVID. My book, they're heroes as well. They put their families themselves at risk every day that they were in there. Especially through our outbreak, caused a lot of stress. We lost people. With losing people, it's made people work extra hours. So I'd like to recognize them, and give them a reward for, yes, they're doing their job, but they're going above and beyond the circumstances as far as I see it. This has not been a normal year. I think everybody's recognized that. And I would just like to make sure that we're retaining the good people that we have that have stuck through thick and thin, the good and the bad, and, be able to recognize the hard work that they do. So I would like to recommend that we would be able to give them a $1,000 bonus, effective, probably in the November, December timeframe to try to help out with holiday expenses if we can do that. Total cost for that's about $126,000.
From fund balance, where would the monies be?
Between bed rental, because we're above where we thought we would be. If we maintain the track for bed rental, we had budgeted $1 million. If we at least maintain where we're at now, we're gonna be at $1,378,000, and some change. So the money, part of it comes there, vacancy savings, we've got more vacancies than what we had anticipated. So there's funding, revenue there that we could pull from as well. So I don't see it impacting our budget. I'm not asking for more money from the localities to accomplish this.
I don't know how Warren and Rappahannock have handled CARES. I know CARES Act allows for certain hazardous duties to be utilized from CARES Act. We've not. I'm not going to say that conversation won't come up towards the end of the calendar year as we analyze what we've spent to date in CARES Act. I think what Russ just said kind of hits the issue I have, at least in Shenandoah County, is that everybody has continued to work and everybody has to some degree been exposed. Obviously those in frontline, say, fire and rescue service are more exposed or risk more exposure than some others, but it has been sort of in everybody's essential. So, from my perspective, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a worthy conversation to have. And I don't think you were looking for action from us today. I don't think. I'd certainly like to hear what you guys are doing in your respective jurisdictions. What you think about the proposal?
Number one, we're looking at doing something for our employees. We did not do anything in July. We have some money in our budget to do something for, we're in the second phase of a 3-year salary adjustment. We didn't do that. We're looking at, it's gonna be October, November before we do it. We wanna get this first quarter fully in. And we're looking at the idea of what's eligible CARES Act funding, but that everybody's, essentially, the person down here in the treasurer's office
Exactly.
has as much exposure, maybe not exactly, but real close to as much exposure as somebody in the field.
Exactly. Or somebody in social services. Or
And social services and et cetera. So we're looking at how we're gonna figure out how we can do something for everybody. I'd be interested in seeing how much of this could come from CARES Act. I'd be interested in seeing that, and maybe we could do something that way. I'm not prepared to make a definite decision today, but I'm not opposed to the idea. I'd like to keep it and meld it around a little bit and see where we can be, keeping it in line with what the jurisdictions are able to do.
jurisdictions south of us. I have a weekly meeting with jurisdictions from Rockingham down through Planning District 6, and it seems like they're doing something, and the subject of Middle River came up. So I think whatever we would consider here, we need, at least in my opinion, I would need to be reflective in Shenandoah or vice versa. I think it would need to be similar. Gary?
We, going into the budget year, we looked at a 2% bonus aligned with what the state was talking about for the unallotment and everything. Have not used any CARES dollars for hazard duty pay outside of schools and the summer lunch program type thing. So, you know, we don't have a lot of population, we don't have a lot of CARES money, relatively. If we can draw a clean line to CARES dollars, then I think that's preferable. But as Superintendent said, all these folks who were sticking with us at the regional jail are making it possible for us to rent those beds. And that bed rental is, we really trim that back, hedging the risk, and there's still risk because we just have absolutely no idea what's around the corner. So I see that, between that and the many vacant positions, more than covering the cost. So
Yeah, I'm less concerned with where those come from, provided they're not going to be a request back to us. I mean, that doesn't concern me as much as just making sure that there's fairness in our jurisdictions, and certainly they would turn and say, well, you know, we're in it too. I think what you've proposed is conservative in terms of the number, and I'd like a chance to consider it and continue the discussion.
Yeah, and we appreciate everyone's consideration of the matter. And, you know, I don't think we're looking for an answer today. We just want to get it on the table and see what happens.
Would we want to consider authorizing the Finance Committee to make a decision on this in October? Or do we want to wait till November?
yeah, so the question is, November 19th, too late?
It's right in time for Black Friday.
I would, you know, again, just speaking for Shenandoah, I would assume if we do something, it would be in that end of the calendar year time frame. So, you know, I don't know why we couldn't continue the conversation in October. I like seeing you guys. We can just get together again and have that on our agenda for further discussion. I don't know that.
Bring it back in November.
Yes, sir. I think that's an
Okay.
acceptable timeline.
Okay.
Gives you guys a chance to know what we're doing.
Sure.
Okay.
And we'll have that much more revenue under our belt. Each of us will have a much better idea as we keep hurtling toward December 30th on how CARES is going to wrap up or get extended. Or
I hope it doesn't get extended, frankly.
would be nice.
It just, I have this mental image of December 30th coming suddenly and CARES is done, COVID's gone, and it's not going to be like that. And then we start our respective budgets. Other outstanding issues. Oh, Russ, do you have anything else on the bonus? I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay. Any outstanding issues? Brendan, do you have anything you want to say while you're here before the authority?
I don't. Do you have any questions of me?
Anything exciting happening in Richmond that would affect us?
Nothing directly related to jails. They're going to start working on the budget soon, but there's still, the General Assembly special session is still going on, so I don't know when it's going to end. So I'll keep you posted on what comes out of the budget, but that's not resolved yet. So yeah, they're still meeting.
We'll keep praying until they go home.
All right. Well, I think we did indicate that likely we will be meeting in October again on the 22nd, so I'll see you all then and there. Beautiful time of year. And if there's anything else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the F&P meeting, and in 40 minutes we'll have our regular authority meeting. All right, thank you.
Yeah.